Noir Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast. You know, the podcast where we put a spotlight on prolific criminals you may not have ever heard of, but you really should know about. The pod specifically for dispelling the myths about the types of crimes people of the melanated hue supposedly don't commit. And it's all brought to you by me, your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. If this is your first time tuning in, hey sugar, go ahead and get yourself comfortable. This shit gonna be a whole trip. And to my main squeezes, what up though? I have missed y'all something terrible. It's okay though. It's okay. You're here. I'm here. Let's do this. I had given y'all a little bit of a break from the serial killing, but I ran across a story and I knew I just had to tell y'all all about this bullshit, right? This week, we gonna go to the D. Detroit, baby. And I'm about to put you up on a nigga that was just ignorant with it. Like, it was like he had something to prove. I mean, this nigga went on a killing spree like his life depended on him taking the lives of as many black women as he could, as quickly as he could. Another dude that everybody in the hood, everybody, ain't nobody would have ever suspected of being a serial killer. But he was. Just another tale that goes to show you, no matter how much you see somebody, you don't really know that person. Our Melanin Mayhem Maker has 11 victims under his belt in the span of 9 months. 9 months. He should have just made a baby. It would have got him less time, that's for damn sure. But once again, he preyed upon the least protected among us. The women that like to hit that pipe and sell a little poo nanny to support their habit. I'm talking about the women that are always at the bottom of the list when the police are trying to figure out who did what. A tragic tale, but one we really should know about. So, ladies and gentlemen, bringing to the stage for one night only, allow me to introduce the congregation to our Melanin Mayhem Maker of the Week, Mr. Benjamin Atkins, a.k.a. the Woodward Corridor Killer, a.k.a. the Woodward Park Strangler. Benjamin Tony Atkins was born August 26, 1968. And as usual, we don't know a lot about his background in detail. I can tell you some basic things. He's got an older brother named Kevin Atkins, and his mama was a sex worker. Yeah. And, while that's not a new phenomenon because, hey, sex work is the oldest profession under the sun, Benjamin's mama was particularly trifling with the shit. Like, when Benjamin was a little boy, him and his brother, even though his mama was struggling with addiction, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say she was doing the best that she could for her boys. But the way that she could support them was sex work, and she kept her boys close. I'm talking about like real close. How close, Nay? I'm gonna tell you how close. Like, she would be serving Johns in the front seat of the car, and Benjamin and his brother would be in the back seat. Oh my Lord. That's unlocking a new level of niggatry there, boy. Good God Almighty. Like, I mean, I get it. Mama had to do what she felt she had to do. But talking about how to fuck a child up, and she fucked up Benjamin, that's for goddamn sure. At some point, DFAX stepped in and they took the boys, but Benjamin's story didn't morph into one of unicorns and rainbows. Oh no. Benjamin was placed with the St. Francis Home for Boys in Detroit, and he continued to go through it. Like, they was fucking him up left, right, and sideways at the group home. When he was 10, he mustered up the courage to talk to a caseworker to tell him about what was going on. And then the caseworker, according to Benjamin, started raping him from that point on. He ran away from the boys' home and he went back to his mama. But she was still putting it all out on Front Street for him. So, he didn't want to see that shit no more. So he just hit the streets and he lived at the homeless shelters and wherever he could. And, sad stories to the side. I ain't got no sympathy, like zip zero, not a drop. I can empathize that life was lifing in this boy's life from the time he came in this bitch, but that didn't give him the right to take his pain out on society. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? Benjamin loved his mama, and he hated her at the same damn time. And because of her, his view on women was fucked up too, because Benjamin hated women. He said it from his own mouth. He had a particular disdain for women that sold that cat. And even though he was a purchaser of the cat, like Houseway, if you don't like him, stay the fuck away from him. Not Benjamin. That would have just been too much like rape. Now, Benjamin worked a few jobs to support himself here and there. You know, the kind of jobs that don't really pay nothing because Benjamin didn't have no formal education. So he would do odd jobs for the people in the hood and, passing out flyers for promoters. And he would do work around the neighborhood, picking up cans. And he also had a little job at Primo's Pizza in Westland as a cook. But Benjamin was a creature of habit. And he liked to smoke that crack. And he bounced around, and wherever he could lay his head, that's where he lived, whether it was an abandoned building or on the street or on somebody's couch if they let him in. Benjamin was in the hood. He stayed in the hood. He prayed in the hood, and he dropped bodies in the hood. Every woman whose life he took was found along a 1.25 mile stretch between Highland Park and Detroit. For those of you that aren't familiar with the D, Highland Park is like an enclave neighborhood in Detroit. It's like Buckhead for Atlanta, right? It's in Atlanta, but it's Buckhead. It's in Detroit, but it's Highland Park, right? And this less than a 1.5 mile stretch, Woodward Avenue was like the main thoroughfare connecting the two. This week I'm going to do a little something different. Before I get into the shit that Benjamin did, I'm going to start off by telling you what the people that knew him around the neighborhood had to say about him. Ernestine James lived downstairs from Benjamin's brother, and she said that she was totally shocked that Benjamin could do such a thing. Quote, "The Benjamin Atkins I knew was very personable, a nice guy. I considered him a friend. He would come into my apartment and bake cakes and brownies. He really didn't seem like the type to kill anybody." Ernestine had a neighbor down the hall. She didn't want to get her name, but she still talked about her relationship with Benjamin. She said that he was polite and didn't ask much from her. Quote, "He was quiet. When he came over to my apartment, he would just ask for a cigarette and to use the phone." Okay. And you just let him in though. Yep. And then there was Diane Robinson. Now she worked with Benjamin over at the Primo's Pizza, and Diane said that it was a pleasure to work with him. She would see him on the street walking, and she would pick him up and give him a ride to wherever he had to go. Okay. How many of y'all striking some chords? It's some niggas we do that for. Nice, quiet, polite, mannerable, wouldn't hurt a fly. Oh, everybody know him, man. He be everywhere. You see him every day in the hood. Okay. Everybody in the hood knew Benjamin struggled with crack chased with malt liquor. Oh God, malt liquor. That's a lethal combination any day of the week, boy. Lord, crack and malt liquor? Good Lord. Sorry. Regardless of his addiction, the neighborhood was pulling for Benjamin. They prayed for him. They prayed with him. They let him spend the night in their houses, in their basement, in their garage sometimes. They stayed on him to fight that monkey off his back. And then they heard the news that Benjamin's nice, polite, mannerable, quiet ass did all this fuckery. These same friends and acquaintances, they also said that when Benjamin was on that shit, he was a booger bell, like a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So they knew he was nice and quiet, but they also knew he had a really ugly side to him when he was on that shit. He a crackhead, so he always on that shit. Make it make sense. Anyway, now that I've set the scene on how the hood viewed old nice crackhead ass Benjamin, let me tell you what his punk ass was really out here doing. I'm going to tell you these victims in chronological order, but that's not necessarily meaning that that's how they died. It'll make sense when I get into it, I promise. 35-year-old Darlene Sanders. She knew Benjamin from the streets. They got high together on a regular. I'm talking about like every day. So it's safe to say that Darlene was comfortable as fuck with Benjamin. Till one day in the fall of 91, he turned on her and beat the brakes off her and then raped her. October of 1991, he took her to an abandoned Hojo's in Highland Park, and then he attacked her in that restaurant. Darlene said he ripped off all her clothes and made her lay down on the floor. The floor was covered in broken glass and trash, and he just raped the fuck out of her. Now, after he got through raping her, I don't know why he didn't feel like he needed to finish her off inside the restaurant. He decided he was gonna make her walk to another location. Now, Darlene ain't got on a stitch of clothes, and he finna walk her out this goddamn restaurant, buck booty ass naked, and go kill her somewhere else. Well, when they got out the restaurant, some kind of way, Darlene was able to break free. And baby, she was run, Forrest, run. Her niece, sister girl, ran for her life, literally screaming and crying and shit. She's attracting attention for, the people that's on the street. And so finally, she's safe. She naked and bleeding and beat up and fucked up, but she's safe. Now, Benjamin's punk ass, on the other hand, he done got scared off and he done ran off. He runs, and he run up on the Monterey Motel, climbs through a window, and now the Monterey Motel is abandoned. It's a derelict hotel, so nobody's here, and he got the run of the place to himself. God damn it, Benjamin done found him some new digs to stay and to play. Now, Darlene didn't report her attack when it happened, but she did come forward after her fellow women of Woodward Avenue started turning up dead. But you gon' see, when she reported it ain't go nowhere. Not that you surprised. I'm sure that wasn't no surprise to you. But I'm going to tell you also how law enforcement just fucked over Darlene. 30-year-old Debbie Ann Friday, she was from Cincinnati. But her mama put her ass out because she was stealing her shit. Crackhead behaviors. You know what I mean? You know what it is? She had to support her habit. So Debbie done got put out. She moves in with her auntie on the west side of Detroit. Now, Debbie would cook and clean up and all of that for her auntie because her auntie had had a stroke. And so she was moving slow, and Debbie was there to be a helpmate for her. And it was fine. But Debbie would also dip out and be gone for days at a time because, again, Debbie is a crackhead. So when she went missing, her auntie, at first thought it was just Debbie doing Debbie, right? But then she was gone for like 2 weeks, and that was not Debbie doing Debbie. Come to find out, Debbie had been found mollywop, her goddamn hands and legs bound, strangled to death. December 14th, 1991. They found her in the basement of an apartment building over on Elmhurst Street in Highland Park. The Highland Park police came out, they do their thing, they leave, and the case just starts collecting dust, as usual, right? Bottom of the to-do list. And then came along 26-year-old Bertha Jean Mason. Bertha Jean, she must have had some old parents, because who in the hell was still naming their baby Bertha Jean? But I guess to be fair, if I do some quick math, Bertha was born around 1965, so I guess the timeline fit with such an old lady name. I'm going to call her Big Bertha. Big Bertha was the life of the party. Sister girl could sing. They say she thought she was Aretha Franklin stand-in. And she was funny, always cracking jokes and shit. Big Bertha had 2 children and she was living good. Till she fucked around, came across a crack pipe, and the rest is history. Now she lived for the dope. And if you asked her anything about that shit, Bertha be like, look, just leave me and my pipe alone and let me do my thing. Okay, Bertha, do you, boo? Now, I ain't saying that Bertha had a hard life, but the life of a crackhead in the 90s was anything but easy. But Big Bertha found the love of a man that worked at the post office. Woo, Bertha, girl, you got you a man with benefits and a good check, honey. You can get good crack with a post office check. Ooh, Lord. That's not the point. Bertha got a man. She got a roof over her head and food in her belly. She also had a baby in her belly. See, Bertha was 5.5 months pregnant, and on December 11th, she told her man, the one that work over there at the post office. She said, baby, I'm finna run to the store and go get me some cigarettes. Bertha didn't never come back. Everybody was out looking for Bertha. Can't find Bertha. On December 30th, they found her body in a vacant house on Alger Street in Detroit, just a couple of blocks from her house. She was almost home. Ooh, honey. When they found her, she had been bound, gagged, beaten to a pulp, raped, and strangled. And that motherfucking Benjamin, he said that after she was dead, he dragged her body down the hallway and just threw her down the basement steps like he was just throwing out the trash. Now, mind you, this is just 16 days after Debbie had been sent to the upper room. Like, damn, nigga, slow down. It's the holidays. You should be filled with joy. You know what I'm saying? Not killer rage. Bertha's people stayed on the police to try to find her killer and bring that motherfucker to justice. But the police was busy because apparently they had other shit to do. They ain't never found her killer. At least not before he confessed. Then there was 36-year-old Patricia Cannon George. Patricia was skinny, one of those little bitty people. Everybody called her Olive Oil. But Patricia was smart, well spoken, and street smart. And in 1973, though, life took a turn. Her mama died of cancer, and it just broke something inside of Patricia. And she turned to dope to try to fix it. And she numbed that pain for a while, but dope can't fix that shit. But love can. Yeah, honey, Patricia met a man too, just like Bertha. And he loved her through the pain and got her clean. They got married and popped out 3 children. But the love didn't last, and neither did Patricia's sobriety. She got back on that dope harder than ever. Her kids had to go over to her sister's house, and she was out there just being a full-blown dope fiend. But she had her own little place to stay, a little apartment, right? And on November 30th, 1991, she left her apartment to go buy some crack. And she never came back. At some point, her and Benjamin hooked up and went to go smoke a little something over at one of those abandoned buildings off Kenilworth Street, right there off of Woodward in Detroit. Everything was fine. Patricia knew Benjamin from around the way. He was harmless. But today he wasn't. Because after they finished hitting the pipe, according to him, a rage just came over him. Because she got up to go and he wanted to fuck. So since she wasn't DTF, all he wanted to do now was choke her. So he did. And then he raped her. Man, they found her January 3rd, 1992. That's like the new year. Now, she went missing in November. They found her in January. And how they happened to find her, construction workers showing up to work to demolish that abandoned house at 74 Kenilworth. Baby, that place where Benjamin had just left her body, they go in there and find her strangled. Dead as fuck. And how about this for a gotcha? Come to find out that Patricia, they thought at first was the third victim because they found her body third, right? But she was actually the first one to die. When she left to go to the store that day, November 30th, that was probably the day that she was killed. But it's not like Benjamin gave two shits about the holidays. Why most people like to ring in the new year with a couple of drinks and shit. This nigga was out here ringing neck. And poor Patricia, when they found her in January, it would still be another 3 months before they identified her. That's crazy. And what's heartbreaking, y'all, is Patricia had left a little note for her people. And it break my heart. It was something that she had wrote because she knew her lifestyle wasn't conducive to a long life. She knew her number was going to come up sooner rather than later. I'm going to read it, and I'm also going to post it because it's deep. The day will come when my body will lie upon a white sheet neatly tucked under 4 corners of a mattress located in a hospital busily occupied with the living and the dying. At a certain moment, a doctor will determine that my brain has ceased to function and for all practical purposes, my life has stopped. When this happens, do not attempt to instill artificial life into my body by the use of a machine. And don't call this my deathbed. Let it be called the bed of life, and let whatever is usable be taken from it to help others lead fuller lives. Give my sight to the man who has never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or love in the eyes of a woman. Give my heart to a person whose own heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Give my blood to a teenager. Take my bones, every nerve and muscle in my body, and find a way to make a crippled child walk. Explore every corner of my brain. Take my cells if necessary, and let them grow so that someday a speechless boy will shout at the crack of a bat, and a deaf girl will hear the sound of the rain against her window. Burn what is left and scatter my ashes to the winds to help the flowers grow. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, and all prejudices against fellow man. If by chance you wish to remember me, do it with a kind deed or word to somebody who needs you. If you do all I have asked, I will live forever. Oh, girl, that was deep. I mean, it touched my heart because people think so disdainfully when you talk about people who struggle with addiction. But these are people, and they have real lives, and they have real emotions, and they are eloquent. And just because they have an addiction to a substance, it don't take away their humanity. And when I read that, it just spoke to me, so eloquently said. It just gives a glimpse into The life of a woman who cared enough to try to ease the pain of the people that she knew she was going to be leaving behind. She wanted her body to be used to help others when she passed, but instead she was cremated because there was nothing viable of her body because she had been out for so long. Tragic. Oh, moving on, because I got more victims, honey. We got to get through this. Vicky True Love was 39, didn't never make it to her 40s. Her family says that she was a good ass cook and she was always hosting shit at her house. Just bubbly, full of life, right? She had a husband named Leroy and 4 children. Both her and her husband did drugs together. Then they went and did rehab together. Leroy stayed clean, but Vicky didn't. She was out and doing what she was doing. And, Leroy was at the house taking care of the children. Well, on January 25th, 1992, they found her body in an old ass abandoned nursing home over on Woodward Avenue. Benjamin had to come up on her and told her he was looking for a smoking partner. And she was like, bet, let's do this shit. But y'all, Benjamin didn't have no crack. He ain't have now intention of smoking with her either. At least not the way she was thinking. He was gonna smoke her ass all right, but Lord, so they go in the building, and the next thing she know, Benjamin got his hands around her throat, just choking her to sleep. Then he rape her, choke her out some more, and then he finish her off. Naked, a gag in her mouth, just a trifling ass bastard. But I'm thinking around this time, the women of the street got to be shook, right? I don't know. I mean, I ain't never been a crackhead, so I can't say what you would or should do. But motherfuckers say you want to smoke or you want to fuck, we gonna have to do it right out here in the open, right out here, cause it ain't safe to go duck off with a nigga no more. But you know what they say? Cocaine is a hell of a drug, and crack ain't nothing but cocaine and baking soda shit. So, Now, these next crimes I'm gonna tell y'all about. This shit might have gone undetected for a long ass time if it wasn't for a man out scavenging looking for some scrap plumbing. He rolled up on the Monterey Hotel. Remember the abandoned hotel where Benjamin been hanging out at? Of course, an abandoned motel got plenty of bathrooms, kitchens, all that kind of stuff. So if you looking for some plumbing stuff, that might be a good place to go scavenge. Well, he rolled up in there and he rummaging around, and fuck around and stumble across a body. Scared that man to death. He run out the motel, go to a payphone, call the cops. Here the cops come. Now they about to investigate. Y'all ain't gonna believe what happens next. Now he called them because there was one body. Okay, baby. There were three. The first of the three had me all up in my feelings because I'm learning the backstories behind these women. And I just gotta say this, love on your people, because you don't never know when your last conversation gonna be your last conversation. Valerie Chalk was 34 years old and was a mother of 4 and she was a drug addict, but her mama still loved her. She didn't harden her heart against her daughter and never closed her door on her either. And one day, Valerie come by her mama's house, and her mama was in there talking on the phone, shooting the shit with one of her people. But out her peripheral, she saw Valerie go in the kitchen, go in the refrigerator, and pull a whole ass ham out the refrigerator. And got ready to walk out the door with it. And her mama was like, where you going? If you don't put my goddamn ham back, I'll kick your ass. But of course, she joking, but not joking. Put my goddamn ham back. And Valerie did. Valerie put the ham back, told her mama the deuces, I'll be back, and slipped on out the door. And her mama kept right on. Then Mr. B with her conversation probably was laughing on the phone with the people talking about what the fuck her daughter had just did, right? Baby, she thought that she was gonna see Valerie later that day, next day, whatever. But she didn't. Valerie never came back, which was so unlike her because she loved her mama. And even though she had her demons, her family loved on her. So they did what families do when their people go missing. They made a police report and they put up flyers in the community asking for help to find Valerie. We now know what happened when she left her mama's house. She came across Benjamin and he asked her, did she have a pipe? And she was like, hell yeah, I got a pipe, nigga. So they walking down the alley over there by the Monterey Motel, and Benjamin just grab her, pull her inside of one of the abandoned buildings, and he chokes her out till she passes out. She woke up 3 motherfucking times, and he made her go night-night 3 motherfucking times. And after she died, he just drug her into a bathroom, threw her in the shower, and just covered her up with trash. In room 68 of the Monterey Motel. February 17th was the day that man came across their body, and it was February 17th that they found Valerie naked, beaten, strangled, raped in the shower of room 68. Now remember, I told you that the nigga been at the Monterey Motel since Darlene got away. This next victim, Juanita Hardy, she wasn't nothing but a baby. Just 23 years old, but had been out on these streets since she was a teenager. But still, at 23, she ain't had a chance to experience nothing in life yet. She just barely legal. But she was deader than a motherfucker because they found her too on February 17th as they still checking out these rooms at the Monterey Motel. They got to go room by room now. Now they done found Juanita. Benjamin said that he hadn't even planned on killing Juanita. He was just going to take the coochie cat and dip. But after he raped her, he said he had this overwhelming feeling of hate for her just come over him. He hated her for being a woman. He hated her for just being. And all he wanted to do was kill her because she was a woman. He just wanted to do her harm. And he did. He did that shit. Just downright evil. But wait, we not finished. They still searching around the Monterey Motel, baby. Now, Juanita, they found her in room 17. They still searching, baby. This ignorant ass, killing ass nigga went 3 for 3. They found that third woman that same day, February 17th, 1992. She was in room 18. But the thing about this woman, they couldn't identify her. So she was simply known as Jane Doe for years. I'm talking about years and years and years and years. All they put out was that she was about 5'10", 130 pounds, medium brown skin. Jane Doe. But I'm going to put a slight pin in Jane Doe because I do got some news. I'm going to tie it up with a knot. I promise you. We'll come back to Jane Doe. Now, the police have secured the Monterey. They haven't found any more bodies. I don't know. Did they not find any more bodies or did they stop looking for bodies? We're just going to say that they didn't find any more. But they got 3 women found on February 17th, 1992. And this is how they described these women to the press. They said that these 3 women were a new form of discount prostitutes. Discount prostitutes? What? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Mr. Policeman, surely in one of them goddamn classes you took when you became a police officer, they gave you a better way to describe a victim. A discount prostitute? Why does that make me feel some kind of way? I mean, if I say it, it's different than a police officer saying it. Because to me, a cop saying it just validates my opinion that they don't give a fuck when it comes to solving crimes against people who are fighting demons. But you know what? I ain't here to preach. I'm here to teach. If ever there was a reason to never let a nigga take you to the Monterey Motel, it would be 3 bitches being found on the same goddamn day. Noir Nation, did you hear me? He killed these women, disposed of their bodies in the same motel that he was living in. And I know if he was living there, other people were living there too. That is diabolical. And I can't even imagine what it smelt like around that motherfucker. Like, ooh, God, the stench of it all. After those 3 bodies were found over at the Monterey, remember the lady who survived, Darlene Saunders? She came forward to tell the cops what had happened to her and the fact that she thought that the same person that tried to take her out was the same person that was killing these women. Y'all think the police did anything with that information? Nope. Because I still got more victims to tell you about. Now, the nigga took about 2 months off, before our next victim caught them hands. But once he started back, it was like he was putting in overtime for the kill, like back to back to back. 43-year-old Vicky Marie Beasley Brown. They said she was beautiful. Baby, when she was in high school over at Northwestern, they voted her as one of the 7 pretty reasons why the Northwestern men don't miss a day in school. Sis was a snack and a half. Baby, her family loved her. She was spoiled, just loved, raised in a good home, a doting grandmother. She met a man. She fell in love. They got married. This sounds like a fairy tale, right? Well, that man she loved with all her heart, he died. And she couldn't cope. So she turned to drugs to help ease the pain. Y'all hearing a theme. These women were broken. Life broke them for a minute. And they had to ease themselves. Ugh. I can't. Anyway, Vicky Marie out down this pipe trying to ease that pain, but her people, like everybody else's, they didn't give up on her. Baby, her peoples, every time they saw her in the streets, they would come and get her. They was coming to get her. Vicky had to run. If somebody called her name, she had to take off running, cause baby, her people was coming to get her. You ain't smoking today, bitch. So Vicky would duck and dodge. But again, the family didn't give up on her. But then one night, late one night, March 24th, 1992, Vicky called her daddy. She told him that she was tired. Dad, I'm tired. I don't want to do this no more. She said she knew she was killing herself And she needed to stop and get herself right. And Daddy was like, baby, say less. I'm on the way. And she was like, no, Daddy, hold on, Daddy. Let me get my stuff together. Because, Vicky got children. Let me put some shit in order, Daddy. I'm going to go tomorrow, okay? And Daddy was like, okay, baby, I'll be right on over there. Well, tomorrow came, March 25th, 1992, and Vicky is preparing to get herself ready to go to rehab and for her daddy to pick her up. So, stopped in her landlady house and was like, hey, I'm finna run to the store right quick and go get something for my babies. Will you keep a lookout and I'll be right back? Well, she left and night came and then the morning came and then the next day came. And so 2 days later, the landlady called her parents and they came and they got the girls and they just thinking, Lord, she was ready to go. So maybe she just out here for one last hoorah, right? She just doing her thing, but she'll turn up sooner or later. Well, baby, the first came and went and they was like, oh, something is wrong, honey. Something is real wrong. You ain't Vicky or now crackhead ain't finna let the first of the month roll around and a free check be out there and not come get that bitch and bust that motherfucker wide open. Oh no. So they knew something was seriously wrong and so they ran straight to the police to report Vicky missing, right? But y'all know, the police was like, yeah, thank you. We'll check into it. Well, April 15th, 1992, they found Vicky, just like those other women, dead by strangulation in a nasty trash-filled closet in a vacant Highland Park apartment. Just tragic. Tragic, I tell you. April 9th, 1992, 38-year-old Brenda Mitchell was found dead in Highland Park. Now, at first, when they found her, the police said that she died from a drug overdose. What? How they mistake a strangulation for a drug overdose? Like, they didn't even look at her, did they? Baby, her death would have stayed listed as a drug overdose if Benjamin had not confessed to her murder. It's just crazy. It's crazy. But Benjamin's still out here shenanigans again and again and again. Now, here come 40-year-old Joanne O'Rourke. June 15, 1992, they found her strangled, raped, and beaten in Highland Park, too. Now, mind you, I want to point out to y'all again that the dates that I'm giving you are not the dates that these women actually were killed. These were the dates that these women were found. And these weren't no fresh bodies when they were found, right? We know it was sometimes months, a month and a half between when they died and when they were found. But at this point, the police couldn't keep sweeping the bodies of dead black women under the rug. The streets was talking and the pressure was starting to mount a little bit. So they had to make it look like they was really engaged and actively searching for a suspect, right? And on July 17th, 1992, they formed a task force to find the motherfucker that was making the Woodward corridor his personal hunting and dumping grounds. Now, this task force was made up of law enforcement from the Detroit Police, the Highland Park Police, the Michigan State Police, and the FBI. Ooh, shit, they got everybody represented in that motherfucker. That sound real good, don't it? Wrong. Them motherfuckers was too busy trying to have a who got the biggest dick contest. All that fighting and this my case and don't want to share information. Come on. And it was just a general attitude of who gives a fuckness that was just hanging over the task force. Again, until one too many goddamn deaths. And then they really had their shit fucked up when them 3 women came up at the Monterey Motel, because that's just too much. That's even for drug addicted black women. That's too much. Somebody got to do something. So the task force started tasking and trying to look busy, throwing shade at the victims, because of course it's the victims' fault that they getting unalived. Anyway, the task force that's supposed to be out here chasing leads and working hard to find the killer, right? Y'all do remember about that first victim I told y'all about, the one that got attacked and lived and came forward after the massacre? Darlene Saunders? Yeah, Darlene is still around and kicking after she made her official police report telling them who she thought was the goddamn killer. Do y'all think any of these elite members of the task force ever went to talk to her? I mean, she was only a prostitute working the Woodward corridor. She was only attacked and raped and strangled and almost unalive. That almost fits the MO, don't it? Yeah, it does. But nobody talked to Darlene. Nobody. So now there are 10 women dead. And at some point, somebody got the genius idea to look through the tips that have come in from the public and they run across Darlene's and her report from 4 months ago. 4 months. This has just sat. Child, my blood pressure be going up. I don't want to have to stroke out trying to do this goddamn podcast telling y'all about this bullshit. I ain't never had no blood pressure problems. I ain't trying to get them now. So rather than do any real detective work, the real work kind of just fell in their laps. Darlene, the woman who got halfway to the upper room and turned around. The survivor. She told them who fucked her up. She told them where he was. And the super duper task force didn't do shit. They still didn't figure out it was Benjamin. She kept telling them Tony did it. Tony did it. He hang out over there. Tony. So after 5 weeks of her saying, it's Tony. Tony is doing it. They decided to do a little bit of a ride along with Darlene. They're going to put Darlene in the car and ride her around and let her point Tony out. Well, goddamn. Where's Darlene's check if she gonna do y'all work for y'all? But you know, Darlene is a trooper. She's like, okay, I'll ride, I'll point him out. And so she get in the car and they go riding around. And just where Darlene had told them to go, that's where the fuck they went. And she points out Benjamin hanging out by a payphone, just chilling in the hood. They go and they arrest Benjamin's nun hiding from the police ass on August 21st, 1992. Okay. We got our man. So they take him to the police station. Benjamin is putting on his best, I don't know what the fuck you talking about routine. This nigga told the detectives that I couldn't have killed nobody, and I definitely didn't rape nobody because I'm a homosexual. That was his words. Come on, Benjamin. Go ahead and play all up in their face. And he did that shit. That motherfucker wasn't copping to shit. But baby, let me tell y'all how sometimes the right motherfucker be in the right motherfucking place at the right motherfucking time. See, there was this sergeant named Sergeant Ronald Sanders. See, Sergeant Sanders was at work that day, and it was his very last day before he was set to go on vacation. And y'all know how we are as humans when it's about time for us to go on vacation. That last day we come to work, our bodies is present, but we ain't giving a fuck. We ain't trying to do no work. We trying to keep it low profile. Don't ask me to do shit. I don't know shit. Fuck that shit. And that's exactly what Sergeant Sanders was in there doing. This man made it to the last hour of his shift. The last hour, y'all. He finna clock out. He go over and watch an interrogation, and he see what Benjamin is doing. According to him, something in him was like, you need to talk to him. You need to talk to him. So he hollered at the detectives and was like, hey, can I give it a try? And they was like, sure. Sometimes in the face of evil, you gotta try a little tenderness. Otis Redding told us that a long time ago. Just try a little tenderness. Sometimes instead of good cop, bad cop, the only one that can break through is the empathetic cop. And Sergeant Sanders saw something in Benjamin. He saw through that facade. He saw the brokenness. He saw the pain. So he walked into the room and he sat down in front of Benjamin and he said in a non-judgmental tone, you ain't never had no father. I got a son exactly your age. You need to get this stuff off your chest. Come on, talk to me. Baby, that was the key that opened the lock on Benjamin's mouth because he did exactly that. Baby, he unburdened himself to Sergeant Sanders. Told him everything. Everything? Everything. Ooh, honey, he was bursting at the seams to get it all out. I told y'all that Sergeant Sanders was 1 hour from getting off. Honey, he ended up staying there for 12 hours while Benjamin ate 5 cheeseburgers and had a serious case of confessional diarrhea. 87 goddamn pages of confessional diarrhea. He confessed to everything. He confessed that he killed Patricia by accident, but afterward, it ain't feel so bad to him. And after that, it got easier and easier each time he did it. He confessed to the bodies that they knew about, and he even told Sergeant Sanders about a body that they didn't know about. His 11th victim, a woman that he had hidden in a secret basement under a vacant garage. Stop it. Stop it. This last victim was another baby, a 22-year-old woman named Osina Waymer. And that same day that they arrested him, he took them right on over there to that garage and pointed out where he had done stashed her body, and they found her. They back at the interrogation room, and Benjamin is still talking. He told Sergeant Sanders that his rationale behind killing these women was so that he didn't have to worry about them pressing charges against him for rape. He said, quote, it's not all women I hate, it's the prostitutes. This is what they really want, 'cause they are dirty, rotten bitches. End quote. You nasty, funky, dust-ass nigga. I'm sorry, y'all. My bad. He went on to tell them how he killed the women, how he did it. He had a system. He said that, quote, "See these big hands I got? It's always the same way. I put both thumbs over the Adam's apple and I interlock my fingers behind her neck and a squeeze." He said that over time he learned how to choke them just to the point of unconsciousness so that he can continue to rape them before he actually killed them. He had a method and he didn't stray from it. He told them all the same thing to get them to go with him. Y'all want smoke? It worked every time. And when he was done, he had a system for how he made sure they was dead. He would check for a pulse, he would check for a heartbeat, and then he would push on their stomach and push all the air out their body. And then he would walk around Woodward Avenue like it was just a regular day, wasn't nothing to see. This funky ass, punk ass, audacious ass nigga, he even dropped by one of the murder scenes while the police were there investigating. Diabolical. But remember, this is the nice, personable guy that everybody in the hood love talking like this. Sir, if you don't want a rape charge, don't rape. It's as simple as that. You keep your dick in your pants, and if you can't smoke dope without wanting to fuck, don't smoke dope. It ain't rocket science. Niggas be killing me with that shit. 'Cause please understand, Benjamin is not the only one with this mentality. I am not a man, I've never been a man, will never be a man. But the fact is, so many men are led by their penises. It's just disheartening. So many have had their lives fucked up because they couldn't control their dick. All this pussy out here for sale. You ain't happy unless you're taking it. Baby, well, take this, Benjamin. They charged him with 11 counts of murder and 1 count of rape and assault for Darlene. This nigga wasn't but 23 years old. 23. A baby. And has killed 11 women. And raped and almost killed another. So now, it's January 1994. It's finally time to crank up the jury, baby. Now I gotta tell y'all how law enforcement fucked over Darlene, the woman that broke this whole goddamn case wide open. Do y'all know that the police arrested Darlene and kept her in captivity for 16 motherfucking days? Yes! Yes! Y'all know why they did it. It wasn't because Darlene had committed a crime. Oh no. They arrested her because they didn't think she was gonna come to court. Wait a minute. Wait. Now, I know you lying. I am not. Y'all can Google it. Y'all can read it for yourselves. Darlene was arrested and held for 16 days because they thought she was not going to come to court. Now, what happened to being empathetic? Like, this woman has already been violated by Benjamin, and now y'all gonna violate her some more? It wasn't no other humane way to make sure she would come to court than to lock her up. Like, jail ain't no damn Marriott. It ain't even the Super 8. It's jail. Don't nobody want to be there, much less a woman that's been trying to pick up the pieces of her life and fight her demons at the same time. I'm sorry. I don't want nobody smoking crack or shooting heroin or meth or none of that shit. If it don't come from a seed, I don't really want you to do it. But let me tell you this. If a motherfucker has survived being raped and almost unalive in the most violent of ways, and now all they want to do is smoke they back out, I'ma just have to be okay with it. It's a time and a place for everything, and I just don't feel that this was the time or the place for tough love. But y'all, Darlene was a G. Like melanated women everywhere, her shoulders were built to carry the load. She got on that stand and she told them her truth and even reenacted what happened with Benjamin before the court. Lord have mercy. We thespians up in this motherfucker. Now, I'm going to tell you, the prosecution didn't have the strongest of cases. All they had was Darlene's testimony and Benjamin's confession. Not one shred of physical evidence, not one shred of DNA. Benjamin got a court-appointed attorney. His name was Jeffrey Edison, and unlike most of the overworked, underpaid court-appointeds, Jeffrey tried to get mercy for Benjamin. He laid it all out there for the jury. He told them about Benjamin's fucked up life and how didn't nobody care about him and didn't nobody look out for him and he had been used and abused. And Benjamin, in the midst of all this, started showing out in the court, y'all. It ain't funny, but it's funny because I laughed and I'm still laughing. During this trial, while his attorney is talking, Benjamin interrupts the lawyer and says, quote, "Excuse me. Excuse me. I would appreciate it if the young lady in the back row with the glasses would wake up. This is my life here." End quote. Touche, nigga. Okay. Goddamn. Go on, get your Kanye on. I'm gonna let you finish. I get it, kinda, but sir, making an enemy on the jury is not a way to get no goddamn sympathy. Cause let me tell you something, even if I was asleep, you done fucked up now cause my vote gonna be guilty forever. Forever, forever. I don't care if they got video of you somewhere else, nigga. You did that shit. Don't come for me unless I send for you with your rape and killing ass. The trial lasted for 4 months, and when it was over, the jury took 3 days to deliberate. They gave that nigga 11 life sentences without the possibility of parole, as they should have. Benjamin took that shit like a G. No emotions whatsoever. He knew they weren't gonna give him no mercy. Nah, sir, you didn't show no mercy for nobody else, so why should you expect mercy? But this nigga was so unbothered by them life sentences. How unbothered was he, Nay? Hmm. He ain't want to know nothing about where he was going, what they were gonna do to him. All he wanted to know was could somebody give him a cigarette? Sir, sir, audacious, just niggatry. I tell you, next level niggatry. Like if ever there was a nigga that should have been left in a room with a couple of hungry ass Rottweilers or pit bulls, it should have been Benjamin's ass. But instead, they sent him to the Eagler Correctional Facility in Jackson. So your boy is guilty and he in prison making noodles in the toilet now, right? I guess we can take comfort in the fact that we know that he'll be in prison for the rest of his natural life. Yeah, yeah. It's just too bad his natural life was over fairly quickly. In a turn of events, the nigga got sick. Like TLC don't go chasing waterfall sick. One day he took a look in the mirror and didn't recognize his own face. They moved him from the main prison over to the medical ward because Benjamin had HIV and the shit went turned up to 10 because he went down fast. Benjamin died September 17th, 1997 after having served only 3 years of 11 life sentences. Damn. I know you don't question the big man above, but that just wasn't long enough for me. Dying at 29 feels like he got away with it. I needed him to languish in prison, preferably while he was sick. Like I need you to feel it. I feel like you cheated them sentences, and that just pisses me the fuck off. But the nigga dead, and dead is dead, so that's that. I do have a couple of loose ends to tie up with regards to Benjamin's story because I put a pin in a couple of places. I told y'all that one of those victims was named Jane Doe, and for 32 years, that's who she was. But baby, in 2024, this year, 2024, a forensic genealogy firm identified who she was. But we will never know because her family didn't want her identity made public. So she will forever be the Jane Doe linked to the Monterey Motel. And speaking of the Monterey Motel, they tore that bitch down because, yeah. Benjamin's story is crazy, but the nigga is prolific because he holds the title of the fastest known serial killer in U.S. history. He racked up so many kills in such a short amount of time. 11 people in 9 months. This nigga was booked and busy. But while I despise this nigga with every fiber of my being, the whole while I was researching and getting my thoughts together, I kept hearing one song over and over in my head. It was Tupac's Keep Your Head Up. Now, I ain't gonna be out here sampling Tupac because I ain't got that kind of coin, but I can tell you the verse that kept going over and over in my head, and it was when he says, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women, do we hate our women? I think it's time to kill for our women, time to heal our women, be real to our women. If we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. That was some deep shit. Pac released that song in 1993. But the answer was yes. It's always been yes. For those babies he thought were going to grow up to hate the ladies, they did. But the kicker is Pac was late because them babies had been born and continue to be born. This cycle of men hating women is as old as the world itself. And it's so crazy because the irony of it is men have ruled the world since it was invented. But they needed a woman. God knew it. That's why after he made Adam, he was like, shit, he ain't gonna make it. Let me give him some guidance. And he created woman. Pause. Can y'all tell me why the fuck Eve ain't got her own book in the Bible? Like, I know she did some great shit, but as per usual, you only hear about the one time she fucked up. That's the only story we got in the Bible for our girl. The Bible was definitely written by a man, but carry on. But anywho, the weight we carry on our shoulders, y'all, as women is tremendous, and we don't get no credit for it. Men can make a child and walk the fuck away, and it's no big deal. Cause a woman is gonna pick up the load and make some shit happen. But baby, when the woman is the one that's fucked up, if there are babies involved, the potential negative ripple effect can turn those babies into the haters of the ladies that make the babies. And it's happening, it's been happening. Think about Benjamin's mama. That bitch was diabolical. I'm just saying. Turning tricks in the house, in a room, behind a closed door, it's bad. But if the sound effects are kept to a minimum with a good old movie in the background or something, a bitch can stick and move a little bit when them children young. But it's a whole another level of funky bitchery to turn tricks right in front of your children. I mean, come on. We talking tricks. It's a S on that bitch. Your job is to basically be the conductor of the train system. No judgment, no shaming, full stop. If that's what you like to do, that's what you like to do. Do your shit, but just don't do your shit in front of your babies. I'm pro-woman. My body, my choice, all that shit. Let your freak flag fly. But baby, you cannot let your children see you taking dick all day long in the front seat of a Buick. No ma'am, that's too much. It's too much. And the consequences can be cataclysmic. Benjamin hated prostitutes. In today's jargon, I believe we would call him triggered in some ways by a woman having sex, period. He kept saying he was gay, and I can believe that he might have been bi, but I also believe that he hated sex with women because it reminded him of his mama fucking and sucking when he was a child. Again, I hope that nigga bust hell wide open with a gasoline-soaked thong and chaps on. I hope he in the deepest, hottest, most intolerable recesses of hell because he ain't have to take his pain out on these women. Benjamin and men like him, they do that shit every day. But they don't look like they do that shit. Right? And that's the problem. Benjamin, like all the others, known around the hood, worked in the hood, did odd jobs for people. He was in and around the society of people that congregated at dope houses and smoked dope together, and everybody was comfortable with him. They saw him every day, and they never thought it could have been him. That's how they present themselves, fam. In 2024, they on the day naps with the cute pic. They on social media. They sliding in your DMs. It's the dude that work at the Chevron that always compliment you and know exactly what you want when you walk in. The normal looking guy, the peripheral friend or acquaintance. We gotta start watching them niggas. Okay, I'm gonna put my soapbox up because we at the end of the pod, Noir Nation. But I still gotta say that nigga Benjamin was audacious. Killing for the sake of killing is just a stinking ass motherfucker. But while you over there talking shit, go ahead and hit that like, follow, and subscribe button so you can get this good tea piping hot when it drops. And if you haven't joined the Melanin Mayhem podcast discussion group, what you waiting on? Get to getting, shout it. And don't forget the socials on Melanin Mayhem Podcast on Facebook, Insta, and YouTube, and Melanin Mayhem PC on X. If email is your preferred method of contact, you can drop me a line over at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. Next week is Thanksgiving, so not only do I have to cook up a feast for my family, I'm going to have to get in the lab, y'all, and cook up a feast for y'all, too. And we going to eat, and we going to eat. Till then, Noir Nation, y'all stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Peace, love, and hair grease, Noir Nation. The country girl is out of here.